Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Fanalysis, Avatar The Last Airbender. I'm Retty4, this is GreyJellow91,
Hello.
and this is Antoine Bandale.
Be water, my friends.
Take us away with the summary of this episode, Matt.
Alright, so this is Avatar The Last Airbender, Book 2, Episode 2, The Cave of Two Lovers. Now, in this episode, it's not very plot-driven, but we still have the Aang and Zuko sort of subplot going along. And on the Aang side, he's trying to make his way to Omashu so he can learn earthbending from Bumi, but troubles arise. And meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh struggle to adapt to life on the road as fugitives. That's the basic setup.
Okay, jumping straight in with the opening scene of Katara training Aang. First time we get to properly see that, on a professional level at least. Mastery level, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Why do you say quote unquote?
Just because, while I definitely agree that she's
mastery belt.
Yeah, precisely because I completely agree that she's definitely on the track, but she can't be an actual master yet.
Yeah, but that's
master
something
in the
that
making for
accept
sure.
in like the show, because that's something in the show I have too, which I think we talked about in the book 1 review as well. But it's like at this point, yeah, just accept it.
Yeah,
she's master now.
At the end of the series, I can definitely call her a master of like the lower tier for sure. But at this point, she's on her way to it. She's not actually there yet.
I feel like that's definitely true because even in comparison to what she's doing like right now, still by book 3 she's way better. So it's like, she's not there yet. So whatever.
Yeah, but I do like what they are doing here with the octopus style. Is a particular favorite of mine.
Is it ever like actually relevant? I know that she kind of does it like in the finale of this book, but she doesn't actually attack anyone in that way, does she?
For Katara, no, but later for Minghua, yes.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure about Aang though. Yeah, they just use it. They don't really. It's a lot to animate for an actual fight, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a shame we never get to see it in full action. But also with her launching the ice, I love the kind of shot arching of the back she's doing as she lunges forward. It's very cool.
Yeah, I love when like the dynamic motion of the characters, like mirrors what they're causing the elements to do. So that's up my alley. That's kind of unusual for her because she is kind of I'm just gonna make a wave because I'm Katara.
Yeah.
But I like when she does stuff like that.
Right.
Do we feel like she was going easy on Aang?
I would think so.
Because she stands there watching the octopus arm going towards her. She could easily just dispel it. So it's definitely a training kind of experience for her, I think.
When I saw that, I was like, question for the group. I just wondered what people thought.
Yeah, no, definitely a case of just letting him try out his tricks, and playing out to their conclusion. But we see the nomads arrive, much to the immediate dismay of Sokka, as soon as they open their mouths. They're definitely his foil this episode. Yeah, they're definitely his foil.
The main guy whose name is Chong. I wonder what that's in reference to. Maybe I should clarify, like just for in case anybody is like foreign or like really young.
Yeah,
he's clearly supposed to be like Tommy Chong, right? So like in case you ever want to know where they got this inspiration, just YouTube Tommy Chong and listen to 30 seconds. You'll see.
I did not know that, so that's good to know on my end.
Oh, you didn't know?
That may be me being an ignorant person, or just me being a Brit. Or both.
I mean, he might be American only-ish.
There's no way he's American only, but I could see him not being maybe like a British mainstay. Yeah, you do it. Just after you're done here, Callan, YouTube Tommy Chong.
But it is very easy for people like that to drop off my radar, or not even make it on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I made a note of, like, they immediately ask the question, "Are you river people?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, why aren't they asking what are river people? Well, I want to know, what are river people? They seem to be specifically saying, "I'm not a river person."
I think it's similar to the swamp people. Like, it's kind of like
I was gonna say
people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like saying like, "Are you a regnet?" kind of a thing, but like he's saying it without any kind of malice behind it. It's just kind of like, "You river people," and they're like, "What? No."
Yeah, we never get any context for it.
Also, when you look at how like they're dressed and like in their bathing outfits, like they could live in a river or at the river. Right. I mean, it is very possible these guys have met the swamp people. I'm just saying, like they've been kind of everywhere. So
yeah, for sure.
Like those guys were cool. I'm sure these guys are cool too.
We also get the introduction to his their musical shtick. But he does a really, really random one with his guitar. It's the first example of it. I'm like, what? What are you doing?
What are you?
yeah.
But to me, like that actually makes me laugh. And Brian Konietzko, who co-created the show, used to work on Invader Zim, which was like nothing but random humor. So like I would imagine.
I get it. I understand.
He's so not like the creator of that show, but he worked as like an animator and like contributed to like visual gags because Jonan Vasquez is like a very collaborative sort of team leader kind of guy. So I'm sure that that's just his sense of humor. Like
Right.
By the way,
that's all that
Invader
was.
Zim is coming back.
Yeah, as a movie, right? They're making, or is it full series?
I think it's series, but I could be wrong.
I thought it was a movie. But anyway, I'm looking
Did not know
forward
that
to it.
one.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
I love Invader Zim. So good.
And yet
but
also
anyway,
the other thing is he's a bit creepy because he goes, nice underwear. And I was like, what? Why would you say that, you weirdo?
Because Sokka has like a certain magnetism to him. Everyone likes Sokka, including
You're not wrong.
Tong.
You're not wrong. But yeah, that's the introduction of that setup for those characters and moving forward in the scene. And then we cut to Zuko and Iroh. Zuko is very visibly struggling with his new life as a fugitive. He was not meant for this life, as he says himself.
Yeah, they're becoming foragers, and that's a very hard thing. Like in real life, like foraging, if you've grown up in like a society with a city and people kind of giving you things, foraging is really hard because exactly what Iroh's dealing with right now. Like, is this poisonous or can I make delicious tea out of it? Like that's a legitimate question for foragers, like out in the wild.
As someone who like is from LA, I thought you were about to go into an urban foraging thing because.
Oh
like,
no!
Right.
Like if any mushroom that I see in LA, I know I should not be eating. Like I know that for a fact.
It's funny to me that urban foraging is even a thing, or in some people's minds. But
urban foraging is kind of just dumpster diving, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
I know. I know.
Okay.
I'm just not sure that urban foragers know that. But anyway, I really like. I mentioned this last episode, but I like that Zuko's hair changes all the time, showing the indication of the passage of time. And this is actually one of my favorite character designs that I kind of forget about because I hardly ever revisit this episode. But like that just very shorn, like closely cropped,
just above the buzz cut. Yeah.
And the reason I like
just
it
stopped shaving at this point.
Yeah. And the reason I like it for him, well, number one, like a severe haircut kind of like suits like sort of a brooding, dark sort of person like him. But also in this particular episode, there's like lots of close-ups and they do really good work with his expression. His face really pops in this episode and you can kind of read what he's thinking just from looking at him all throughout. And I really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good line work on all of the faces for this episode, given the nature of the budget for this one, because it's not a massively expensive one compared to what they usually do.
Yeah, you can actually see this 4-minute-long sequence where they clearly like use that, like save their money. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
but it's nice to see that because you don't get to see it very often. Because obviously most of the money goes on the action, which is absolutely fine and understandable. It's just when they do apportion it elsewhere, it's nice to see it kind of pop out on screen. For some reason, the Jean John episode got all of it, but we can't have that every time.
This isn't bad though.
No, it's very good, very good. Yeah, in very specific moments. Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, he goes off to continue fishing because Iroh's not being helpful at all. And we get the introduction of that special song with Aang back at the
Are you
group.
referring to something
Secret tunnel.
secret tunnel?
Secret tunnel. I love that song so much. It's just a spark of nostalgia, I know, but still, I understand why it kind of got a mini meme status.
I might be wrong, but 90% sure that in Korra, Kaya says that's her favorite song for some reason, like in like sort of a wistful way. Oh, I remember that song. I love that song. I'm pretty sure it comes up. I'm almost positive.
I love it regardless.
I look forward to seeing that. But anyway, so yeah, that happened.
I also like the note that they had to go through the tunnel, or quote unquote had to. I mean, it may have been plot contrivance, but at least they weren't just go, okay, let's just do this thing randomly when we don't need to, because it actually explains why they couldn't just fly over the mountain on Appa.
It is like plot contrivance in a way, but it's like a little different from how it normally goes. Like normally, I think plot contrivance would be like, how do we get them into this cave? This is more like, how do we not get them to go over?
It's just kind of like a rushed explanation for why it's happening. But also it does make a kind of bit of sense though, because they have just conquered Amashu and are therefore defending it. So I suppose there being such a heavy presence right outside the city territory makes a modicum of sense.
Oh yeah, the goal is or the thing you have to beat down is why not just fly? I mean, why not just fly anywhere, everywhere? Because Appa.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's can't, because there's a barricade or whatever. There's a giant fort, fortification of catapults, I guess, that they. Yeah.
They don't want to run the blockade again.
I like the small detail of the girl who's braiding Katara's hair. 'Cause when they're talking about the Cave of Lovers, she like says something where she's really animated with her hands, and she like pulls at like Katara's hair, and she's like, "Grr!" And it's like in the background, you don't really see it, but I totally know where she's coming from because I used to get my hair braided when I was younger. And just like getting your hair combed is like, especially if you have nappy hair, it's like it's a tough thing to deal with. And it's having someone just yank at you when they're talking on the phone or whatever they're doing is like, I totally understand what's going on in that little mini scene right there.
Yeah, it's a lot of nice little background details in this episode, especially with those.
Oh, and Appa has braids too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Big braids.
But the nomads in general, they have a lot of very small animated movements in the background, which is nice to see. It kind of gives a bit of dynamism to the shots that are otherwise them just sitting and talking or discussing things, which is cool.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, one little detail we completely like skipped past. I like that there's like lots of their own original music in this, but like sometimes it feels a little bit like they're just padding the length of the episode with songs from these guys,
Yes,
which
that's
is funny
true,
to
yeah.
me. But the very first bit of music, which I didn't remember, it's Iroh's song. It's an instrumental of like "Leaves on the Vine" that he sings like later. Did you notice that?
Yes, yeah. I forgot about that. I meant to put that in the notes actually. When he was walking up to them in the first,
first,
yeah, that's very
10
cool.
seconds of the episode.
Yeah,
that's
very cool.
That's cool.
And it
which is
doesn't,
ironic,
doesn't
that's
scream
my-
it as well.
it's
It's like
like
a
my-
background thing
it-
that you could easily
yeah.
miss, which I like. It's not just in your face.
But in the quote unquote like musical episode, my favorite bit is over in 10 seconds and it's instrumental, which is funny to me. But anyway.
But yeah, we get the cut to Iroh itching because he has decided to take
Oh,
this flower, and it was not.
Is this
the
his-
tea.
This is like maybe his dumbest moment in the whole show, I would say.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly because he wanted tea. Like he's like, I want my tea, and I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna risk it.
Is now the time?
it's one of those moments where you're with Zuko again. It's like, Iroh, can you not? It's like, unless you're trying to cheer up Zuko with your antics, in which case this is not the way to do it. And what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, he's near that, and also, I mean, like, he is worldly, but he's worldly in the sense of like he was going from town to town versus like actually, being in the wild himself. So I can see that makes sense where he's not necessarily equipped to deal with the situation.
He's Tyrion
It is
in
funny.
that way.
He's Tyrion. He's very much Tyrion. Yeah.
But he's a little bit closer than Tyrion because Tyrion has absolutely no idea about the woods or the wilderness, and Iroh's able to narrow it down between two extreme choices. It's either this great thing or this horrific thing that will kill you.
Yeah.
he knows enough to identify that and then make the gamble.
Yeah. But they make the call that they're going to go to further into the Earth Kingdom because the alternative is Azula. So that's it's a nice little bit of a humorous building up of her as a threat in the background because she's obviously not present in this episode. And then we get the gang entering the tunnel with the concept that I am fully with Sokka on in terms of how irritating it is, which is trust in love. It's like, that doesn't apply here. It's a terrible idea. Can you not go in this place?
At the same time, though, the only thing to be afraid of apparently is a curse, which you shouldn't be afraid of either.
True, but the labyrinthine
If you're Sokka,
maze is is a bit of a mess.
And at the same time, he's the one most afraid of curse.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that dichotomy of Sokka,
Yeah, he's constantly jumping from one point to the other. I love that about him. It makes him so enjoyable because he's never just one note. He's never just the this is happening then guy.
No, but he's not being entirely rational.
No. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
argues
That's what I
on that
mean. He's it's just another thing on the pile for him, which I like. It's not like the crux of the reason he doesn't want to go in. It's, oh my god, are you kidding me? There's also a curse. Damn it. And yeah, it's brilliant.
What I like most about the temple too is that it makes the world feel very lived in. Like there's little pockets like this where you always see like, oh wow, there's things that were happening before Aang. There's things that are happening during Aang's story that aren't just about him. The world has its own identity going on further than just, and that happens with the whole series, both series of Avatar and Korra.
It's a nice bit of fleshing out for Amashu as well because we didn't need an explanation of where it originated from in the first season. So coming back to it now and adding a bit of a splash more flavour to it when it's just an episode leading up to it as well. It's not even the actual episode itself. Yeah, it's very nice.
I don't even. Actually, these two actually feel very much like a part one, part two for me.
Right, they do.
In the sense that, I think that's like a book two thing in general, though, because most of the episodes are like contingent upon the last, which makes it my favorite book in a way. I think it's the most like streamlined season in that way overall.
Usually that's the case with like second movies or second books or second seasons and TV series that they kind of suspect you to already be on board, so that the story is more about less about being a standalone piece and being more of a continuation. So you do get like a lot of the end of episodes, what's gonna happen next, but like specifically in plot wise, what's gonna happen next. And then also at the beginning we got Asaka over enunciating Oh Ma Shu, and it's like, oh, he's saying both their names, at the beginning when he's like telling them where they want to go, the hippie dudes.
I feel like they wouldn't even have given us a backstory for Amashu unless they didn't do what they did with it, which is they tied into the beginning of earthbending, which again is like a big theme of the season, not the episode, but the season.
Yeah, and it doesn't even necessarily
have
to
we learn
be
later.
Well, I think even if they didn't think that at first, like in book one, it always was just supposed to be Omashu. It's cool that they separated the two, and made them like two separate entities and just like combination name. I think that's a cool bit of creative decision.
Yeah. We'll get more into it when we actually get to the scene where it's explained. But I like the fact that the origin is tied to the cave as well. It's not about Amashu. Amashu was almost an after. Well, it is literally an after the fact. Note. It's about the story of what's being told in this episode. So it's almost like they came up with the idea of the two beforehand, and then went, oh, let's also tie it to the end. That isn't the way it happened, but it feels like that could be it, which plays out naturally given the fact that it is again after the fact situation.
I'm almost positive they didn't have this like mapped out. I mean, they could have. I guess they could have, but I just don't think so. I'm sure they didn't have it mapped up way at the beginning of book one. I think it's just something they came up with when they revisited the series.
Yeah,
especially because you go
across as an idea.
I'm sure that they went, okay, he can't learn from Boomy. That's too easy. Plus, we have this Toph character idea that we're not going to not use. So it's like, how do we not have him go to Boomy? So it's like, just come up with, okay, Omashu is conquered, and then this is like set up for that.
Very good way of doing it, and also bringing up the war as well. But anyway, we're jumping ahead. Let's dive back into
acupuncture.
Zuko and Iroh.
Acupuncture.
Yeah. Well, this is why we were jumping ahead. Because
jumping into the boat. It's the thing I like about it though is it's introducing the family, or at least the girl from the family that they're going to be connecting with for the rest of the episode and learning from Zuko and Iroh.
I watched this episode twice because when I read your notes and it just said Earthbending Girl or Earth Kingdom Girl, I was like, did she have a name? And her name is Song, but it took me 2 viewings to remember that.
I don't remember her.
Where was it mentioned in the episode? Because I couldn't remember it.
When she is like, so you guys aren't from around here. Do you have names? I'm Lee, and this is my nephew, Junior. And she's like, whoa, well, I'm Song. You should come eat duck with me because my mom makes lots of duck.
Yeah, it's nice to see the hospitality of the Earth Kingdom and the hospitality of refugees as well. That's what I like about the scene. It's a good setup for them leading into the next one, which is obviously it's very poignant. It's supposed to be just highlighting like the Iroh and Zuko situation, but I like that it doesn't feel like forcing any conversation that results in that. It feels like this is a conversation someone would actually have reaching out to a stranger.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: I'm really glad that she doesn't have like a date with Zuko, because like if this episode was like Cave of Two Lovers and it's the Aang and Katara date and the Zuko date, like that would be like a little bit much.
Yeah, that's too much. That's too much parallels between them. Too many parallels between them. That would be on the nose.
I don't want to call her an especially memorable character because I do forget about her, but she's an effective one, and it's like there's that thing in writing they say leave them wanting more. I feel like, I could have used like a little bit of resolution for. I'm hoping that based on the end of the episode that after Zuko's Fire Lord, he comes back with like a lot of gold for her.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I like the fact that they, she's an example of how to use a light one-use character well. You, she doesn't need any more than she has, but you could do with more with her, which is nice.
Callan's familiar with the series, but anyone who hasn't seen Samurai Champloo, it also does characters like this very well, where you just have like the one-off. Something is semi-learned by your main protagonist, whoever they're interacting with, but they don't have a necessarily like a ongoing impact. Like almost every episode actually is kind of like that. They have like the one character that they kind of have a thing going on with, and it's very similar to her in this too. Because I don't really remember thinking about the series overall, or even just book 2 specifically, or the episode really. But when she is having those individual scenes with Zuko, like showing her injury, how the Fire Nation got her, and she's relating that to his to his scar. I think that stuff is effective in the moment, but not necessarily like
moving
as an
forward, you don't
overreaching thing.
remember
Yeah.
it, but it works well in the moment.
Yeah. For me, it's the fact that it's not the point of the character. It's the point of introducing her to Zuko and putting her in this part of his story. But it feels like it's just something a natural person would talk about to a stranger if they're trying to reach out and connect with someone. Because it's not beating you over the head with saying, look, this is the lesson you have to learn, Zuko. This is what you're supposed to take away from this. It's like a nice stepping stone on the way to his ultimate journey.
And is this his first interaction with Earthbender people or Earth Nation?
First significant
Kingdom,
one.
I should say.
He obviously had the people from the first book with the stole Iroh. But
no, I mean, he interacted with them all the time. But in terms of not being
on the
Fire
run,
Prince,
right, exactly.
For sure. Then first, we see on screen, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time. And I will say she had a good voice actress who, Callan at least will know this. She played Kat Matui in Justice League.
Indeed, I recognize their voice as well.
Yeah. And also the voice actress looks interesting. Everyone should look her up because she looks exactly like if Kate Blanchett was half Asian. It's like an interesting look. But anyway, back on topic.
But yeah, we get the.
It's the cave stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's just they get separated
in.
by wolf bats.
Yeah.
The wolf bats attack, and Aang saves the two.
Which wolf bats are low key really freaking frightening. Like those legit were attacking me. That would not be a fun experience.
Yeah, that would not be. And I mean, the size of them, if nothing else, it's not like they're tiny bat size things.
This whole scenario would not be fun for me. Like I'm stuck in like a cave, and I only have 10 hours tops of like light. And I just got cut off from like my sister and the Avatar, and I'm with hippies.
Yeah, and I'm with the most annoying people on the planet.
Yeah, and wolf bats. So yeah, I mean, it can't get worse than this.
Yeah, but yeah, as we go back to the Zuko scene, this is what we were talking about a minute ago with the scars they share in their injuries and their different inflicted wounds by the Fire Nation on a story level. I love this scene in how it's lit and how it's animated, in the simplicity of the motion, the fact that it's very quiet. There's not this great big sweeping emotional orchestra behind it. It's left to breathe by itself, and it really stands alone. This is the scene you remember, if nothing else in the episode about these characters stands out to you. I feel this is what sticks in the mind as one of those things that Zuko learned along the way.
Yeah, learned or ignored.
Well, you know what I mean. One of the things he absorbed, and then later on, it meant more. He's not reached any ultimate conclusion here or anything. That's part of the point of the episode. He's not
choosing
doing that.
not to. But which is realistic. I'm not faulting him for that. I'm just saying he hasn't learned. But or it's like a test and he failed it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I really like the music. It's soft, but it's very impactful. I like her voice acting. You mentioned the lighting, and I it's for Zuko. It's putting a face on like what his nation is doing to the rest of the world.
It's the first example of that.
We've already seen it as the audience, but it's the first time Zuko's seeing it. Yeah,
and it's why it's one of those individual beats that leads up to the ultimate ending of his arc. For the next series. When he does make that decision, what an incredible lie that was. This is the first bit.
He's thinking about things like this.
Yeah, this is the first example of that. Which is what I meant by learned. He hasn't learned it yet, but it's something that will come up later on.
Right.
It's a part of that pool of examples.
For sure. Yeah. No arguments from me on that one.
I also love the sliding door setting as well. I know this is just the exterior of their home, but it's more poignant at the end of this kind of his part of the episode. But it's a really nice. Background imagery for this because it is a sliding door. It's one of those things where opportunity closed. He missed that. He missed that one opening, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yes.
But we get the Sokka is tortured by the nomads some more.
I want to say real quick, because we kind of like skipped over this. I did like the moment where he realized what was going on. I thought that was really appropriately ominous, where he goes like the tunnels are changing. So
yes,
that was good.
Yeah, I meant to mention that.
Because we're kind of past that already. But and he spends the rest of the episode really not doing much else than like what you just said, listening to the hippies sing and be annoyed by it. So it's not that bad of a plight, really. But yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree. Where he goes, the tunnels are changing. The fact that he realizes that, and he's not doubting it. No, this has to be the case. I know this map is right. The tunnels are changing. It's a very cool moment. Even it does the zoom in kind of dramatic effect thing, but it actually works there because the fear of being trapped in a cave and especially a labyrinth is not a fun one. I also like that it was Appa that caved in the cave, by the way, as well. It wasn't just the tunnels changing
out,
around them. Yeah, it was like a character response. It gave them more agency as a group rather than just, the tunnels happen to change and block them in or separate them. That would have been too plot controversy. Even though this was obviously an example of that, it felt less forced as a result of it being upper. But yeah, once they've been separated and Sokka is tortured some more, we got to Aang and Katara discovering the tomb, which was another bit of a suitably ominous setup, in my opinion. I like the feel of the atmosphere here.
Was this already, or is this like, have they already had the awkward conversation by now?
That's in the tomb.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's after when she talks about the two lovers.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
which
okay.
Fable legend about the two lovers, which I know some people like take this as like word of God, like any kind of legend that they place in these stories, but I always feel like that there's some truth to things like this, and then things that aren't necessarily true. So when people like kind of get bothered about like, oh, the origins of earthbending came from badger moles, and oh no, it came from like Juan and lava or whatever, that kind of thing.
In this particular case, I think both are right. I mean, I can't.
Right, exactly.
There is a tomb, so I mean, it's like, okay, these people existed, so like I'm cool with this legend. But again, the Lion Turtles gave people the power of Earth. Earth bending came from the original sources: the moon, the dragons, the badger moles, the appas, sky bison. That's fine. Like, to me, that hasn't been altered. That's butthurt Atla fans that are like, Korra changed everything.
Atla, I've never actually heard that IRL. That's crazy. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, it's always written down.
It's a thing of that they just learned to do their bending better with, using their real life entities or whatever that might be. But yeah, it's not like it overwrites it or whatever. Especially with legends. With legends, they always can intertwine like in that way.
Yeah, precisely.
They're all interpretations of the old ways.
Yeah, it nudges the story kind of left and right a bit, but apart from that, it works perfectly fine.
I also like the description of her is like she's basically like her era's Toph. I'm just saying, and it's really cool thinking about, again, the first bender in a world with just people who have the power of Earth, and like she can single-handedly end a war. Like how impactful, just the first sort of bender, and not even an avatar, just a first bender can be in that kind of situation. It's interesting.
And builds up the actual mountain.
Toph is a bit of a romantic
too. The literal Great Divide as well. She's like the opposite of the canyon,
exactly,
with her own power. I also love. I mean, we haven't mentioned it. The art style. This is a step away from the actual, show's animation, showing kind of still animatic style. Very, very cool.
It's like it saves on the budget and is a stylistic choice that works. Right. And also realizing the strength of Katara's voice actress, because I guess her job is to just give exposition and talk about stories, because it is just the same as the intro.
Yeah, my brother and I discovered the new Avatar.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
it's similar to Hermione when she tells the Beetle of the Bards. Like, I feel like it's very similar in that, like, the weight that she has with that.
The way it's the fact that she's the learned character and the scholarly type in the back, the back of your minds. It makes sense for her to be the one reading this out.
You don't, especially of the two characters, you don't want Aang telling this story.
Yeah, no, you don't.
It would lack the gravitas.
It would sound very
It's
it was weird. Cool. Like, after when they are coming out of the fable, and then we have Aang's close up, and then they like turn around to like look up at the tomb. There's like a moment where I'm like, is he like looking at her to kiss her like already? Like I was like kind of like what is this thing?
It's another very well lit scene as well.
Desperate, like it's time now. Yes. Yeah. It's like, no, it's not.
He has really no game.
He doesn't. but he does acknowledge it.
Newsflash. Yeah. That's why Katang fails to arrive for me. They're on two different levels.
For me, I definitely agree. During the series, to me, they're definitely characters that can grow into it, or Aang specifically can grow into it.
I mean, it definitely could grow into it. That's true,
but at this point in the story, his maturity level, he's like, "What is wrong with me?" I love his reaction. But it is a really cringy scene because
she doesn't have the most natural reaction either. Though.
Precisely,
like she gets butthurt. It's like, okay, like if you were really cool though, you'd just be making fun of his insecurity and like teasing him. Like you wouldn't be seriously butthurt, which you seem to be. So it's like they're both handling this.
Yeah, it's kind of a forced scene. Even the suggestion, it comes completely out of nowhere. It's just like, oh god, okay, this is heavy-handed writing. Can we not?
I'm trying to think, what is the arc of the relationship in this season? Like I can't remember.
Aang has to let her go. Is the idea? So they're trying to build up his connection to her earlier on.
It's entirely one way for Aang in this. Like she doesn't really. I feel like the earliest hint you get was back in like the fortune teller, where she was like, "Yeah, he's a powerful bender, and I'm supposed to marry a powerful bender." And it doesn't really come up again for her for like quite a while after that.
She's just nervous and blushing in this one, so there's some sense of attraction, but beyond that, there's nothing established yet.
Right. I mean, but she is the one who brought it up, so it could be her going like, "Oh, maybe we can try it." But still, even if I'm trying to figure out why did they make this setup, because I can't think of anything else in this specific season that, like, I guess establishing that Aang definitely has those desires, which they already did like back then, but they already did that in season 1. But I guess just keeping it fresh because in season 2, that makes sense.
It is important for the guru stuff. I will say that.
That's what I'm saying. It's picking up the approach to that, making sure that he's that's well established early on, so that we know that he does have a connection to Katara. But you're right, it is very one-sided here. I don't think by necessarily design they just kind of didn't flavor or develop Katara's side out very much. It was never the focus. As we've said, romance has never been their specialty. Outside of the one in Suki and Sokka, it's always been a bit.
Oh yeah, nothing but romance isn't all that great in the series.
This is the second time.
And almost the exact same word as well. This is a second realization.
It just goes to show how little Antoine thinks about the romance in Avatar, because it's not very good. It's not very good.
Except for the Sokka and Suki one, there is no example of good.
For me, Aang's just too young for me to care about like his love life. Like that, I just can't be invested in that because he's 12.
Agreed. But it's definitely something.
But I do legitimately like the line where he's like, "I'm telling you that I prefer to kiss you than to die."
Yeah,
it's like that actually was funny to me.
Funny, but it is like it's just so
cringe funny. Like I'm like, "Oh, dude, don't say that." But at the same time, I'm like, it's still kind of like
That's why I can't tolerate it, because I'm so weak to cringe. It's like, oh no, it's all fine, but not for me. Please no. Give me some non-cheesy material. But so that happens. They kind of walk off and exit the tomb and go back into the tunnel and try and find their own route. Until obviously their ultimate conclusion there. Sokka is the line as well. Love is brightest in the dark. That was a nice. It's one of those kind of pseudo sayings, but it was nice in the moment.
Nothing,
it means nothing,
paper, but
it's nice in the moment.
The right context, yes,
it was cool. Sokka is tortured some more.
It means nothing. What do you mean? It's totally poetic. It makes sense for every situation.
Oh well, excuse me. I didn't realize.
Have you ever read Romeo and Juliet?
Oh yeah, by the way, totally Romeo and Juliet, story of Omashu. Just saying, #ripoff. But anyway, because I forgot to mention that. That was totally just Romeo and Juliet.
At least it wasn't an unintentional joint suicide at the end. That's an improvement to the story.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sokka's tortured some more. We get the face palms constantly coming in at this point. We get then that cringy scene again. Sorry, the establishment on that. But my favourite part about the Sokka moment, and the reason I mention it, is because the lighting. When he turns away and kind of transitions just straight to the next scene, the kind of fade in of the dark creeping in from the background, I found really effective. Just the angle of his face, with the lighting on it, and then he's moving away, walking off screen with the fade in at the same time. It just stood out to me. I thought, wow, it was a really cool transition. I like that ambience.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, because his scenes are just intercut sessions of him listening to their songs, and I don't remember what you're talking about, but you can show it to me sometime. It's
not even like a dramatic moment or anything. It's just literally the end to his little bit that he has with the nomads, and then he starts moving off. But it's a really cool effect.
You show it to me sometime.
Yeah, I'll have to show it after the recording. It's very cool though. I really like the moment. It just stood out to me, and the entire episode is really good with ambient lighting. Considering it's not doing anything, it's not doing anything special with it. It's just
chiefly
nice.
in the next one. Yeah.
Yes.
With Iroh and Zuko, right?
Yeah.
I noticed you
getting
had the
to Miyazaki standards here with the fireflies and everything.
Yeah, very cool.
Has that note about loving the fireflies, and that was the first thing I thought of when I saw the episode. It was there's a weird, almost, it seems like borderline inappropriate way to describe it, but there's something almost interactive about it. It almost makes me feel like I'm there, or I can manipulate it somehow.
It's like the light, the glow of the light is kind of pulling you in with its each. They time the kind of climb of light on the screen with each individual emotional moment, almost in a subtle kind of way. So it brings in this third layer of dimension to the experience. You feel like you're among the fireflies rather than just watching them on screen. It's a really nicely done effect, and it's very subtle because that could easily be distracting. So I like.
And the effect comes mostly from the Fireflies, not just going over the front of the characters, but also behind them.
Yes.
That's a quick way of noticing if someone's just kind of like slapped on effect versus it being like a lived-in effect is when it's surrounding the character.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really good. I also this is like sort of Zuko's season 2 uniform, and I like it. I like his sort of outfit. Like it's really cool. Like
he suits plain clothing. He the ostentatious, shoulder plates and everything. It's over the top for him. This obviously it made sense for the first season, but I like this kind of plain attire. It works for who he is, especially at this moment.
I agree, but also like plain attire with like this Asian influence still looks badass anyway.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
there's something really like
cool
cool about it. But yeah, I mean, it just I don't know. I don't like using just the word cool all the time, but he just looks cool like that.
No, I completely agree. The kind of flowing cloth without it being drapey or robe-like is very nice and really well animated as well. They define the clothing's kind of shape with like the shadows very well, and it casts the right lighting on it from the ambience. So it's not just a case of we've got some glow effects in the background. No, it actually casts very well-defined shadows on both themselves and the ground behind them. Very effective. And again, adding to that depth.
Fall off too, because you have that final shot with Earthbending Girl when she's like sad, and then you have like a really nice little just on the edge of her neck. It's a fall off that's coming off, and it's getting smaller and smaller. It's not just the light in the background; it's actually got like a glow gradient that's coming off. That's actually very effective.
Yeah, it's very cool. And again, I like the representation of that kind of sliding door. It's like, door shuts.
Yeah,
that's one door closed on your story, Zuko. It's a lovely little checkpoint. That's almost like the point, not the point of it. It's just there in the back of your mind if you want to watch it.
It's the kind of thing that plays well with the rest of the season in mind. Like they sort of like accumulate. Like in this case, he sort of like actively chose to ignore this opportunity to maybe put down roots somewhere where it mattered or a new start. And in Zuko Alone, which we'll get to, which is like maybe the fan favorite episode of the series, I would think. He gets booted out of the village. It's like a different sort of end to whatever this might have been after they find out who he is. It's like they all have these different flavors. It's not the same step repeated over and over again throughout the season. He has these different flavors to these exits, which I like.
It's the developed sequence. It's they never found out that he was the prince. Maybe they would have had the same thing if they did. But it's with the fact that we don't know. It leaves you.
He doesn't even have the desire to stay yet though. And like later on, he kind of does. And then like that's sort of like the tragic moment of no, you're not welcome here anymore. So yeah, I just like that. Again, the incremental changes in Zuko that make him the best character in the show.
Yeah, that's so gradual, particularly in this season. Like I say, each step of his progression is clearly defined with each episode. Whereas beforehand, it was always smatterings here and there, depending on the plot because the main focus was on the gang at that point. This is where they can truly take each episode and spend the right amount of time on every moment. It's very, very cool, and it gets better as it goes along.
You call these things chocobos? What are
chocobos?
Yeah, he steals a
chocobo.
He
doesn't play Final Fantasy, huh?
No,
okay, so that's why
it's a Final Fantasy thing. They're basically
good job, Callan. Well played.
Okay, so that's what they are.
But he steals one.
Where is that?
Yeah, I knew it was a reference to something. I'm going, Digimon? Like, what is it? But I'm like, anyway. I always forget because he has that. Speaking of Zuko Alone, he has this thing for like a while, like a few episodes.
Yes, yeah.
And because I hardly ever revisit this episode, I forget that he steals it. So Zuko, shame on you.
Yes,
that you stole that. Yeah.
And Iroh's face as well when he's got kind of like disappointed Zuko, but he still goes along with it because obviously he ultimately has to support his nephew and wants to. I don't mean that as like an obligation thing, but it's just it's nice to see the pain from Iroh every time he sees Zuko stumbling on his journey. Yeah. And it also makes sense. It's
Fire
believable.
Lord Zuko. Yeah, Fire Lord Zuko owes these people a bag of gold. He needs to come back and
he'll come back and give him a whole herd of chocobo.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh god, if the theme started playing. But then we get the awkward kissing scene, which is less awkward than the talking about it for me, but it's still like
yes, okay, it's a little less awkward.
Yeah. Again, love the lighting of the crystals.
This is I like that. You have it in the notes as Aang and Katara kiss.
Yeah,
that's the way you wrote it. And I really liked how they kept it very ambiguous because the way that you read the scene at first, before the things light up, like when it's in the dark, right? You go, oh, they kissed and like it lit the way. But it's like, did it though, or did it just get dark?
It got dark,
and so it's like, I feel like they didn't. I feel like they didn't kiss yet.
To be fair, they have there's a science to holding hands here. This is like what you do with families and young ones, but then this is what you do with your significant other. It's called the interlock method versus just the, palm hold method. If you look very closely, right, it opens, they have the interlock method going on, and that means something.
Yeah, I definitely think they did kiss in this moment, but it's just that wasn't what lit the lights up, obviously. It was the darkness. It's
I feel like,
because you see the nervousness.
No, they didn't kiss.
You see the nervousness totally and the blushing like afterwards. I don't know. It could be either way.
Katara acknowledges nothing after this, and for me, it's like that they didn't kiss. Like, and like that's what, and I like that because that would have been so hokey that if you actually kiss and like these things light up, how does that work?
Yeah, of course, it would have to be darkness. But I just thought it was both together.
I don't think that they kiss until book 3 when he kisses her before they're about to go to battle.
She was weirded out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first time he kisses her. Also, like if he got this far already, like I think he would be more comfortable with her going on, which he isn't. So like for me, they definitely didn't kiss. But that's the way you initially read it. But I do like that they make it. It's like a nice bait and switch. You go, oh, they kissed and like love lights the way. So oh no, it didn't. It just got dark.
Well, and that's kind of what he feels like. I mean, they didn't kiss, but he feels like their connection did light the way at the end when they all meet up with each other.
Yeah, he feels that way for sure.
Yeah. And then Katara's like, no, we just found a way out because
like,
we're blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. She is blushing at certain points of this, and definitely feels a little bit nervous, or shy, or whatever you want to call that.
So out of character not to acknowledge it for her though. Like she doesn't acknowledge anything. So for me,
either way, in my opinion, I definitely see where both of you coming though. I don't know either way. It's like that's the point of the matter. It's ambiguous, which I like. It's effective.
Yeah,
leaves you to question either way.
But you could lean one way or the other.
Yeah, there's enough both sides, definitely. I agree.
And you can lean wrongly as you do. I'm just playing.
I know. But the lighting of the crystals very effective again. Going back to the ambient lighting, very cool. And the fact that that's the ultimate conclusion of that. Like it makes sense they focus on the lighting if that was part of the story. So it's cool.
I like that. That's all that they are too. They're not like magical spirit crystals. They're just rocks that glow in the dark. But that's all the crystals are. Yeah. And the lovers put them there for that reason.
It's very.
There isn't.
Cool.
A kiss and they light like that. That would be just too
absolutely
much.
Terrible. Yeah. They're spirit crystals that have responded to love. Ugh, no.
It's like Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't make sense. Like that doesn't fit an Avatar for me for some reason. That just doesn't work.
But we then get to Sokka and the Badger Moles. I love his reaction to this. He's like, accidentally strums the guitar, and he's like, okay, let's just play the song. And he's like, okay, guys, help me. I'm not a musician. This is very much me just improv.
Yeah,
this is the flute. This is the flute putting Fluffy to sleep. This scene.
Yeah.
You said this is like the Fluffy? Is that what you said?
Yeah, this is the scene where they put Fluffy to sleep with the flute.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter what kind of musical talent, just that you are strumming something.
To be fair, Sokka is joined by actual musicians about 3 seconds into it, so I can buy this.
True. Oh, no, of course, yeah, it's not the same thing. I wasn't saying on that level. It's that awkward moment where someone tries to play when they have no idea what they're doing. I like that he does actually make some degree of a terrible but still existing song, like, because he comes up later. He's got, well, for one, he's got a creative mind. Two, he's a thinker, but also he comes up with that weird scene in Ba Sing Se where he's actually doing prose.
I'm talking about haiku.
Yeah, haikuing. So this kind of at least sort of connects with something later on. His ability to think on the fly with musical or poetry.
He was actually good at haiku. This was like terrible.
So, it was terrible. But really for a first attempt, he's supposedly never played a guitar or sung a song. It wasn't a bad improv.
If you say so, I think you're being very gracious to Sokka here, but okay.
Gang reunite outside the cave after the shenanigans. The Badger Moles lead Sokka out, and obviously Love leads Katara and Aang out.
This is my favorite, like, aside from the thing where like the guy was just like random, like, which genuinely made me laugh. I do like the I think that kid's the Avatar. like after all of this, it was like, wow, thanks, man. I'm glad you're on the case. And it's a small detail, but I also like that. There's like when it cuts away to like what the group is doing, and then cuts like a wide shot of what everyone's doing, and you could see Sokka and Katara hugging. I like that because like they're brother and sister.
Yeah, they haven't seen each other. Like they thought they might die separately.
That was like a nice, sweet moment, especially because they're usually making fun of each other. I just like that, seeing that they are close in that way.
And
sometimes.
it's that kind of detail that, is like good storytelling, because, you have something like in The Force Awakens where Chewbacca totally just walks past Leia.
And Leia never really has anything to do with Rey, but hugs her still. It's like, whatever. But yeah, it makes sense. Have the characters act as they should.
About why that's good, please. Yeah. Like, nobody write in about how that makes sense. I don't want to hear it.
Make your characters act as they would, even when it's not the focus of the scene, because like you said, there's just this background thing that's happening, almost secondary to what we're supposed to be looking at. Very cool. And then obviously we get the fun ending, which I really love. It's a great lead into. Talking about rolling and ability to lead into next chapters, as we do in the Harry Potter series. This is the Avatar example of that. In
these are books and these are chapters,
incarnate.
and this is a good chapter ending.
And we're all spoiled now because we all have access to the series at our fingertips. But take yourself back to the days where you'd have to wait like a week to see how this ended. Like that's a really effective lead-in for the next one.
Absolutely.
And then you're immediately thinking like, what's happening with Boomy right now? We saw how great he was. How did he let that happen?
Yeah.
Like, you have all these questions that you're going to be asking yourself.
And the answer to that
is very funny.
Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get there next week.
They have to. Yeah.
We'll get there next week. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. That's very weird. But yeah, even the delivery of the line, is it's welcome to the Erskine city of oh no. It's cheesy, but it works for me. The tone was right. The delivery was excellent. And obviously the gravitas of that then panning shot, super effective. I love this close of an episode.
Yeah, very effective.
But yeah, that's
pretty much this episode.
Yeah, that's the Cave of Two Lovers.
So, like, my thoughts on it is basically this episode is a get the characters from point A to point B episode, and that's pretty much all it is, which is why I don't revisit it that often. But having said that, I enjoyed it more going through it than I thought I would before we did. It was a decent episode, nice and standard.
Yeah, I totally forgot that it kind of existed, because like there's a lot of things I didn't remember about it until they got into the cave, and then that's when my memory is like, oh yeah, this had happened. But the stuff outside of the cave and like the beginning of it, like there's certain movies that you've watched when you were a kid and you're like, oh, this was the beginning of the movie, I forgot completely about that. That's kind of the same situation I had here. But yeah, it's fine. It's not a bad episode at all or anything like that. It's just not, again, like we've been saying over and over, when you have such a great series, some things are just gonna like kind of fall to the wayside. That's gonna happen when you have like 57 episodes in the entire series. But yeah, it's fine. It's not a bad episode to go through.
The biggest takeaway for me is the Iroh and Zuko section of the episode. I really like the quiet growth that's going on here, or not quiet growth, because as we said, he's not learning anything at this point, but the stepping stones towards that. This is laying that foundation for his shtick moving forward in the series, and I really like it as an introduction to that. Unlike the first episode where we've got to quickly speed up and catch it up to what he is about, having literally saying, I want my honor back in that resort. This is the quiet example of that, diving headfirst into the skill they have with developing characters, specifically Zuko, in the seasons. I love it. What are you doing, Antoine?
I'm cleaning. Can you hear it? Oh my god! Can you hear
it? Why would you do that in the middle of the recording?
I'm sorry. I didn't know it was gonna make a lot of noise. Did it make a lot of noise?
No, it's fine. It was really funny.
It was manageable, but it was definitely like I was going. If I was thinking, while Colin's talking through this, that's really polite of him. I would have immediately been like, "Stop! I'm talking."
I didn't realize it would make a lot of. I thought it wasn't.
I was just finding it funny. I wasn't saying anything of importance anyway.
It'll be a big disturbance now.
I can't tell because I can't hear it, so I thought it was. I thought it was like you wouldn't hear anything.
It was just funny. Anyway, that was all I had to say. It wasn't anything of significance. That's the Cave of Two Lovers. Enjoy the episode. Looking forward, more importantly, to the next one with the return to Omashu, or is it New Ozai?
No, it's Omashu.
And with that, I'm ready for, and I still don't have an outro.
Gridget and 91 outro secret tunnel, because outros are dumb.
He's Antoine Bandolay, be water, my friends. Every time after he does his, you always have a
yeah,
because he's such a liar. I'm tired of this lie.
I don't have an outro, guys. Secret tunnel, secret tunnel.